Let's go ahead and jump in here. So we'll start with a brief video.
I'm Lara from Zara Tutoring. I'm excited to work course and thankful for the opportunity to play a role in your test prep and education. High school for 8 years, a school called Christian, and then 6 years at Rochester Adams High School. Go Highlanders! For more than a decade now, I've provided one-on-one as well as small group support for the SAT and ACT to thousands of students, helping them achieve their ideal score and get into their dream university. Each student provided me with insight that I've used to continually refine my approach in order to make it as simple yet effective as possible. But enough about me, let's jump into the course. And remember, you got this.
All right, so another note, you guys will have access to this presentation, and that same email where the Zoom link was, right below it is the presentation you're seeing right now. So if you feel like you missed anything, you can check it back later. And then also, I'm going to send a recording of this Zoom to you all and to your parents. So no need to panic if you miss anything. Something I'm very proud of as our tutoring, as you could see below, and you could click there later if you wanted to. We have 146 5-star reviews, not a single one below 5. So very, very proud of that. We're a 6-minute drive east at Tinkin and Rochester, so we're really close to you guys here. Let's go ahead and come to the next slide here. So something you might be thinking, and I want to make sure you address it, is tests optional as an avenue for applying to colleges. So because of the fact that test optional is a big thing now, you might be wondering, well, do test scores still matter? So let's check out this 2-minute video, and we're going to look at 3 important considerations.
SAT and ACT scores don't matter anymore, right? That's the question I've gotten hundreds of times from parents, and it's a very valid question. As we all know by now, universities went test optional for admissions back in 2020 at the heart of COVID because of how limited testing locations were and how difficult social distancing was in that context. While some universities like MIT have brought back the test mandate, many universities are still test optional. When deciding whether or not your child would benefit from prepping for the SAT or ACT, I think there are 3 main factors to consider. First, in my opinion, choosing to go test optional at the more highly selective universities really only is beneficial for students who have a 4.0 unweighted GPA, a 4.4 weighted GPA, multiple AP courses, are the captain of their 3 sports teams, and have clocked in their 20 hours of community service for the year. In other words, it's for the student who has so much in their high school resume that they can afford to not submit a test score. But I found that the students who typically want to go the test optional route are the students who are at about a 3.0 or 3.5 GPA and really need something else to help strengthen their profile and thereby increase their chances of admission into these ultra competitive universities. Second, I can't tell you how many parents have said to me, my child gets good grades but doesn't tend to test well, or they don't do well with standardized tests. And honestly, it's not the kid's fault. For years, they didn't take semester exams, so they don't really know how to take them. I was that kid in high school who got a 4.468 GPA, but my peers would try to minimize it by commenting on how hard It's strange how hard work is less desirable than natural talent. When I stepped foot on U of M for the campus tour, I felt scared that I'd be found out as an imposter, someone who didn't really belong. And I feel like students who get in based on their awesome GPA, but by avoiding taking the SAT or ACT, may have that same underlying imposter syndrome plaguing them, making them constantly question, do I really belong here? Third, prepping for standardized tests actually teaches kids how to take cumulative assessments. So many college courses are based on just a couple of cumulative exams. If students don't learn test-taking strategies for cumulative tests like the SAT or ACT, they'll likely struggle to know how to prepare once they're actually in college. To help your child learn the 5 best practices for learning, click on the link below to gain immediate access to my 5-part mini course on Learning 101. In less than 10 minutes, you'll learn the 5 best practices of how to optimize learning. And remember, you got this.
I'm going to say that a lot at the end of these videos, so just get used to it. And then 2, you're going to get a lot of free resources. So for example, here, where it says, click here to get Learning 101, and it just asks for email, and then you'll get it automatically sent to you. So that is that 5-part. Actually, this one. But this is a 5-minute video, and in case you're curious about the top 10 changes from when it was paper and pencil to now when it's digital. And then in the next one, we have two videos. One that's focused on the reading and writing section changes, going more in depth there. And then the second one is about the math changes. So if you want to check that out later, you can. But for this, we're going to move on reading and writing practice questions. And then we're going to do two math practice questions. So let's start out with this reading and writing practice question. And I want to kind of simulate the testing condition. So now you have this question in front of you, usually less common. And I'm going to give you guys a minute to complete it. On average, you get a minute and 11 seconds on that activity. So ready and begin. Can you look at somebody's next to you, or is that? All right, so let's call time on that. And let's go ahead and look at a really cool tip on this question.
So something I do for all my students with this particular theme, which is subject-verb agreement, is I provide them with my concepts and tips and walk them through the process for finding the solution. In addition, I discuss two main tips. The first of which is very good to know just for English grammar in general, where the subject and verb are typically separated by a prepositional phrase. And if we can identify the preposition, in this case, the word of, then we know that the subject is the word immediately before it. So talents, which is plural, and can help us define the verb. We'll agree with that plural subject. Provide a more valuable tip in which I mention that if one option is different from the other three, in other words, the only one treating the subject as singular or plural, it's likely the correct answer. So the hack is basically you put the word it or they before each answer option and see which one's different from the others. So you would say, okay, everybody say that loud. Which one would it be? It hasn't been or oh, wow, that's very tight. Try again. About say they hasn't, it isn't. Good. Good. What about it wasn't? Or what about aren't? Aren't or they are? But in this case, they aren't. So the one that's different from the other three, option D, ends up being the correct answer. So that was a level hard question. D. That's a nice tip for the subject verb agreement one. Let's go ahead and look at another reading and writing question. Hopefully you guys can see this one. If not, share with.
Look next door.
Your Chromebook buddies. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is show you a 2-minute snippet from the longer version of my instruction on this theme, which is rhetorical synthesis.
Whenever you have these bullet points given in the question, then automatically it's a rhetorical synthesis. And for me, it's one of the easiest themes on the SAT. I think it's just kind of a giveaway. So let's look at the 3-step process for approaching a question like this. Step 1, identify the goal simply by reading the question prompt. So in this question, it says the student wants to introduce the scientist and her field of study to a new audience. So we're going to try to find the answer option that accomplishes that specific goal. Step 2, don't even read the bulleted facts. And that's why this one's an awesome kind of question, because we're not going to waste any time here. Every one of them is going to be grammatically correct. We're just looking for the one that's going to accomplish the purpose of what they're saying here. So that's why step 2 says, don't even read the bulleted facts, just read through the answer options and eliminate each option that doesn't accomplish the specific goal mentioned. Then, once you've eliminated all the ones that don't accomplish that goal, step 3 says, choose the remaining option that does accomplish the goal. We also want to look for some keywords and be sure the answer option accomplishes every aspect of the stated goal. An example, the student wants to introduce the scientist and her field of study to a new audience. So we're going to have to make sure that it has both information about the scientist and her work, not just one or the other. So when we're going through here with process of elimination, right away, I'm going to look for a person's name. And notice option A doesn't have a person's name. We could eliminate it. Option C doesn't have a person's name. We could eliminate it as well. So then we're down to options B and D. And let's see which of the two not only talks about the scientist, but her field of study. So option B says marine biologist Camille Jasmine Guinness, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, studies coral reefs, vital underwater ecosystems that provide homes to 25% of all marine species. That sounds pretty good. It's telling us what she studies, so that's essentially her field of study, but I might take a quick glance at option D to see if I'm missing something. Option D says, as Camille Jasmine Guinness knows well, coral reefs are vital underwater ecosystems, providing homes to thousands of species of fish. That's just defining what a coral reef is. That's not really talking about her field of study. So the correct answer option is B. And the most important tip, believe in yourself. You got this.
All right. Now let's go on to a question I want to ask you guys first. Who here has a TI 84 plus CE graphing calculator? Now, pretty large amount. Who also knows that you're allowed, obviously you have Desmos, which is awesome, and I train students how to know when to use Desmos versus the graphing calculator, but who knows that you're allowed to have programs transferred to your calculator that you can use on the test? All right, fewer people. So let's go ahead and check this out. And over the span of this time together, I'm going to give you 11 of my 23 Spotlight SAT graphing calculator programs for free. So check this out here.
Looking to give your child a way to get the most improvement on the math section of the SAT or ACT in the least amount of time? The majority of my clients aren't initially aware that graphing calculator programs are permitted on these tests, as long as they meet specific requirements. At Zara Tutoring, we provide all our students with our 23 Spotlight graphing calculator programs to help them quickly and easily solve certain problems. For example, you can quickly find the missing leg of a right triangle with the tag.
So the 5 programs that you're seeing right now, that was one of them. These other 4 too. All 5 are 5 of the 11 that you're going to get.
The arc length with my program arc. The area of a sector with the program sector. Convert from a radian measure to its degree equivalent with radians. And find the exact distance between 2 points with distance. As you can see, these programs help students save time, avoid silly errors, and reserve their mental energy for the more challenging questions, ultimately giving their score the bump they need. Want to have your child try these programs out? Click below to gain immediate access to one of these 23 programs, Solve Systems, for free. Solve Systems will enable your child to solve a linear system of equations.
So, taking a look at this question, can anyone say what are the 2 algebraic approaches for solving a system of equations? What's one of them? Substitution. What's the other one? Elimination. Because these are both in standard form, would you think you would do substitution or elimination? usually elimination, unless you can isolate one of the variables, which you really could in the top equation, right? But take a look at when you input these coefficients to our program solve systems.
In a matter of seconds, simply by typing in the coefficients.
Right away. So this is a program you're going to get as well.
Clicking below, your child will gain access to my platform that contains this 3-minute video where I show them exactly how to easily transfer the program onto their own graphing calculator. They'll also be able to watch this 3-minute video where I'll walk them through 2 real SAT questions where they'll be able to utilize the Solve Systems program. If you end up wanting to purchase the remaining 22 graphing calculator programs, you can do so for $97 here. Regardless, I trust that this program will help your child along their SAT prep journey. And remember, you got it.
So when you click here on the button on the left there, which obviously you'll have time to do that whenever you get a chance, you'll be able to fill out that form and get the program. I'm also going to be stationed in front of the counseling department during all 3 lunches. So if you bring your calculator, I can transfer it in a few seconds. So up to you which route you want to go, but I would still sign up to be able to get those videos as far as getting some more practice with that. All right, now let's go ahead and out our 2 practice questions. The first of which is actually level hard. So there's easy, which we call, I think, foundations. There's medium level and there's hard. This is level hard. On average, you get 1.5 minutes, really 1:35. So timer starts now. Use your calculator if you want. Pull up Desmos from your phone if you don't think that's the approach, or you can do it by hand. All right. What is your approach? Let me show you what you right. And if you work who knows where that's your little Latin, but let's go to this actual question here.
First, I'm going to attempt this question the way your child would have to if they didn't have one of our graphing calculator programs. And let's see how long it takes me, a mathematician, to do so.
So this is the process of completing the square, adding the constants to the other side, dividing the leading coefficients, taking the square of half the b term.
So just over a minute and a half. Now let's see how long it would take if we were using one of our graphing calculator programs completing the square. So I'll type in each of the coefficients. And I get that the radius squared is 9, meaning that the radius is 3 when we take the square root, and we know the diameter is twice the radius, so we get our answer is 6. So just around 20 seconds to complete the question. So we save over a minute that we could reallocate to a more challenging question. Not to mention, I could have made a mistake at various points in the process of doing it by hand.
So imagine, especially if you're trying to get a really high score, if on any question you could save a minute here, minute and a half there, half a second there. And then for those really challenging questions, you've just accumulated a bunch of time. Now, unfortunately, this isn't one of those 11 programs that you're getting today for free, but if you decide come, we can share nobody's technical issues. So let's go to our second math question here. Either easy or medium. So I'm going to start the timer. You maybe get.
Think about it.
This is actually one too as an example of it. Okay, so there were two main approaches on this question, maybe more, but usually two. Who can share what did they do? Yeah, what did you do? Distance formula. Very good. Because essentially we're saying, let me go ahead and pull up here. All right, let's do a little sketch of what we really have, which is a circle that has a center at, let's say, -6, 1 right here, and then 12 maybe around here. So center, and this is a point on the circle. Imagine that's actually a circle. And then this is what they're trying to find. So yeah, we could do the distance formula, or called circles is one of in our 1-week crash course that I'm giving you guys for free. Stay tuned for that. But standard, you use that to input the center, which is your HK, and then use that point as XY in the formula. So let's go ahead and look at, can somebody take out, take out the stopwatch. Okay, take the stopwatch feature, and I'm gonna walk through the question doing the distance formula, just like probably a lot of you guys did. And we're gonna see how long it takes. Again, I should be pretty quick at it. I'm gonna go at a pretty steady pace here. Give me some room.
Starting.
Are you ready? Wait 1 sec. Okay, ready to go? Okay, so go. So the distance formula is the square root of the difference of the x's squared plus the difference of squared.
order, I'll put -6, let's say -7. I'll do the same thing for the y. I put it under the square root, got +13. Same thing here, you would have got an 11 or with my math, 290. Well, I still gotta go to my calculator then and stop. Okay, 40 seconds. Math. Okay. Oops. 11 seconds here. So you might be thinking, well, that's easily true. 30 seconds. So if you can save and then reallocate it. So it's always better to be safe than certain cases and use the tools that you have available. Now here you could check out a video of other programs that have other, and if you they're purchased all so this is what you get when they purchase 23 programs for $. Module the program and I can try second is for how and document that shows all those programs. And then the third thing, which I think is the most valuable, and so it's giving you practice with that. And then for each of those, I have the worked out solution goes. Which in the case is one that I showed a video. Notice it's a 34-second video, so they're all very quick as they're supposed to be because the first easier. All right, now you know that taking is not all just the strategies and skills. Those are very important things, obviously. However, there's a mental side to any kind of performance, whether it's in sports or in academics. And so something I do with all our students is every week we start out our class by doing a mind mastery strategy of the week. This is actually one of my favorites, so let's check it out. The reversal of desire. This intriguing phrase is the title of one of the most effective psychological tools I've learned and honestly implement almost every day. The reversal of desire was created by psychologists Phil Stutz and Barry Michaels, co-authors of the phenomenal book entitled The Tools. This psychological tool applies not only to students in the context of preparing for the SAT or ACT, but to any aspect of a student or adult's life for that matter, where we experience more fear and resistance than we'd like. We start by setting up the context. You imagine a black cloud filled with all the things you're avoiding and the feelings associated with that avoidance. Anxiety, fear, uncertainty, doubt. This tool follows 3 stages. The first stage is bring it on. You run toward and into the black cloud. The second stage is I love pain. It might sound a little sadistic, but you're essentially embracing all those feelings you were trying to avoid, which actually robs them of their power over you. And the third and final stage is pain sets me free. The black cloud shoots you out the other side of it and propels you toward the thing you're avoiding. From there, it's critical that your next action be one of progress on the area you were previously avoiding. After all, most of the things we desire in life are just on the other side of our comfort zone. Let's finish out with a quote by Jim Rohn. We will all experience one pain or the other, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. But the difference is the pain of discipline only weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. And remember, you got this. I literally use that tool at least a couple times a week. It's one of my favorites. Now, something I'm also giving you guys for free, this Get Instant Access, when you click there, you'll get access to the Test Stress Success Manual PDF book, which is something I have my student for about 5 minutes on day 5 of each week of their practices. So here's a 30-second clip from the class overview I provide the students, so you can see how to use this resource. Now let me explain how I'd actually read this. You probably noticed I only said set a timer for 5 minutes, so it's very quick, but it's not something you read from cover to cover. So when you go to the table of contents, notice whatever stands out to you. For example, if you think, oh, the skill of centering, that looks interesting, well then you're gonna go to page 44, and notice it only goes till page 49, right, before it becomes a new chapter. So up here, I can go into that box, type in 44, enter, and I go to the skill of centering. You read that, notice it's 1, 2, 3, and a quarter of a page. You can easily do that in 5 minutes, but it's important to get an actual takeaway. Think about how you're gonna apply what you just learned.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of how to utilize it. Now, here is my 1-week crash course. It's usually $197. I'm giving it to you guys for free. So you can see on the left here, this is the structure of the course, but let me show you a short video about the course that you are able to get.
In this 7-day crash course, I provide the structure, content, and data-driven practices that will give your child the most leverage in the least amount of time. For the math section, I'll provide your child with 9 of my 23 Spotlight SAT graphing calculator programs, all of which are permitted on the test. These are my 9 most useful programs for the geometry and trigonometry section of the new digital SAT. In addition to providing them with thorough, clear instruction on the 6 themes within the geometry and trigonometry section, I also show how and when to effectively use these 9 graphing calculator programs.
So remember,
for example,
the 5 same examples I showed before, and those come with it. So you get those 5 and then 4 others.
You can quickly find the missing leg of a right triangle with Pythag, the arc length with my program arc, the area of a sector with the program sector, convert from a radian measure to its degree equivalent with radians, and find the exact distance between 2 points with distance. When utilized correctly, these programs enable students to simultaneously avoid costly errors and save time that can be reallocated to more challenging questions that demand all of their mental energy. For the reading and writing section, I provide detailed, engaging instruction on all 8 of the standards of English convention themes. These are all the grammar-related questions that not only make up 40% of the reading and writing section, but are also the questions I found students tend to struggle with the most. Through my 14-page Triple T document, Tom's Testing Tips, that I provide in the course, I'll teach your child how to quickly recognize which theme the question is testing them on, as well as how to systematically approach the question to target the correct answer. To ensure your child masters every aspect of these 8 critical themes, I provide them access to my Quizlet flashcards. Here's the 7-day structure of the crash course. To make sure your child achieves mastery after receiving my instruction, I provided 2 practice assignments, one for the math section and one for the reading and writing section. You'll find that these practices exactly mirror the Blue Book platform that students will use when taking the new digital SAT. After they complete the assignment, not only will they be able to see the answer explanations for the questions they got wrong, as well as detailed data regarding which particular themes they still need to practice, but they'll also be able to see my worked out solution videos for every single math practice question, so they know exactly how I'd approach the question, including when and how I'd utilize the key graphing calculator programs I've provided them. Let's do this.
All right, so if you decide you want that crash course for free, you just click on that link that's right below it. Now, something I do want to point out here, I want you to put your email in that 3rd field so that you get the login credentials immediately. However, I recommend you put your parents' full name and their phone number, because then we're going to send them a text just letting them know what we give you access to. That way we're all on the same page as far as what you've been provided. And then also, if you decide, instead of just having, in this case, 11 programs in total, solve systems from a couple slides ago, this one, which is 9 programs, so that's 10, and I'll show you, you'll get 1 more. If you decide you want all 23, you can also get them from that link below. And we are doing our small group program. That's a 10-week program, started on Thursday, so just 3 days ago, and 4 days ago. And I'm catching people up if they sign up late. For example, somebody signed up last night using the special promotion that we have with Adams. And at lunch, I'm going to go ahead and catch them up. So it's pretty easy to get you guys up to speed. So let me show you a short video about the program, what it entails, and then the special 33% discount for all the Adams community.
Worried about how the SAT will impact your child's college goals? Our proven 10-week program covers everything and even stress-busting strategies. Your team can step into the test ready and prepared to reach their full potential. Our average improvement on the SAT is 150 points, with improvements as significant as 350 points and near perfect scores. We cover all 20 themes for the reading and writing section, as well as all 36 themes for the math section. The reading and writing section is very theme-based, so we'll utilize our 26-page Triple T document, Tom's Testing Tips, for this section to be able to quickly identify the specific theme the student is being tested on, as well as how to systematically approach the question to rapidly get the correct answer. I also provide students with access to my Quizlet flashcards so they can immediately recognize how each theme's question is worded. For the very content-driven math section, I provide thorough instruction for all 36 themes, but I also provide my students with the ability to conserve time and mental energy by utilizing our 23 Spotlight SAT graphing calculator programs, all of which are permitted on the test, and enable students to save time, avoid silly errors, and reserve their mental energy for the more challenging questions, ultimately giving their score the bump they need. To ensure my students successfully go from theory to mastery in between the weekly 1-hour classes, I provide them with 4 homework assignments each week, each of which has the exact same timing and number of questions as the modules they'll complete on the real digital SAT. In fact, the platform we use is essentially identical to the digital SAT platform, with all the same tools available, so that students will have already experienced it dozens of times before the day of the actual test. After your child completes their practice assignments, not only will they be able to see the answer explanations for all the ones they got wrong, but you both will be able to see detailed analytics regarding which themes they're still struggling with via their unique progress report link, so they can dial in on their exact deficiencies. For all 462 math practice questions they'll complete over their 10 weeks with me, I've personally recorded step-by-step worked out solution videos showing exactly how I'd approach the question, as well as how to utilize any applicable graphing calculator programs. I know your child has a rigorous course load and a busy schedule with extracurriculars, so I make our program extremely structured via their 2 weekly practice schedule checklists. One for reading and writing weeks, and another for math weeks. Their weekly homework consists of 4 days that take an hour each day, and 1 day that takes 15 to 25 minutes to complete. The mental side is also a critical component of test taking. That's why I assign them on day 5 each week 5 minutes of reading our Test Stress Success Manual PDF book. That's also why every single week we start our class by showing one of my mind mastery strategies of the week, each of which is a 1 to 3 minute video I created regarding a simple but effective psychological tool students can utilize on the SAT, in their regular classes, and in everyday life. Our class meets for an hour on Thursdays starting on January 23rd, and you can choose either 4:30 p.m., 5:45 p.m., or 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Students can attend live in person at our office at Tinkin and Rochester in Rochester Hills, Michigan, live via Zoom, or if there's ever one or multiple sessions the student can't attend live, they can watch the recorded session that we upload the very same day, so they can watch it at their earliest convenience and not miss a beat. In our 10-week small group class, we'll be preparing students for the April 9th school SAT that's administered at the state level in Michigan as well as in other states. Students get lifetime access to our Spotlight SAT platform, even long after they've successfully completed our class, so they can go back to it anytime they're reviewing for another test date. To see if my teaching style and the format of my SAT small group program is the right fit for your child, click below to gain immediate access to one of my mind mastery strategy videos, one of my 36 math modules, one of my 23 graphing calculator programs, and one of my 20 reading modules for free. Let's do this.
All right, so I know it says click below, but it's really on the left side here. You'd get those 4 resources, one of which was the graphing calculator program. It's called Quad Solver, which we know from the Latin means quadratic square, second degree. So it solves quadratic functions. And so in total, you guys have access to 11 of the programs for free. For our groups, if you do decide that you want to sign up, let me just walk you through that really quickly. Notice you get a 33% discount with the coupon code ADAMS33. So if, let's say, you decide, yeah, this sounds like a good fit, mom, get me in the program because I'm going to get caught up by Mr. Zara over lunchtime, where I'll give you your folder with all the materials, this pen, transfer the programs to your calculator and get you caught up. If you want, we have 3:15, 5:45, and 7 o'clock for in-person. We also have 4:30 still available via Zoom. in case that's how you plan on attending. So it's gonna be very similar to this, where the instruction is given live, and then we do it live via Zoom, and then we're recording it and uploading it. So the same way that I'm gonna send it to you guys later, that's available in the course. Let me go ahead and show you, if you were to, let's say, for example, sign up for the 315 spot. Once you go to the next page, we have the coupon code Adams 33. And that gives you guys a almost a $500 discount off the program. And yeah, I think that's everything there. All right, let's go
Worried about how
to this last part where we're going to analyze your PSAT/NMSQT results. Who knows what NMSQT stands for? I think it might be on there. No cheating. Don't play. Yeah. Yeah, I think you just switched one of them. So National Merit Scholarship, NMS, right? National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. So it's a mouthful. But if you were able to log into your College Board, which is good, notice down here the link Student Question Bank. That's the link that I'm going to be referencing in the video we're about to watch. And then this table of contents document that I referenced is also there. So let's check out how you could analyze your results and use College Board's website to work on those deficiencies that you have.
In this video tutorial, I want to show you how to utilize College Board's Student Question Bank. So once you click on the link that I provided you, you go ahead and log in with your College Board credentials. If you're like me, you have it saved where it'll auto-populate for you. And once you go in, it'll look like this. So it should take you directly to this page. However, if it doesn't, let's say instead it takes you to your tests, then no big deal. You just scroll down and you go to Student Question Bank and just click right there. So now what we're going to do is scroll down. However many practice tests you've taken so far, they'll all be listed over here, and you can click on any of them to see your score breakdown. And that's going to be really key because we want to determine which domains are ones that you're crushing it in and which ones we still want to improve in. Now, the ultimate goal is to have each one at level hard, meaning that you're doing so well because you're essentially at full bars. Now, for any domains where, whether it's in the reading and writing or on the math section, if you're at easy or medium level, in other words, you're not at full bars, those are the areas we want to target. So you'll recall we have our table of contents here where we've broken down the reading and writing into its 4 domains: information and ideas, craft and structure, expression of ideas, and standard English conventions. And then also for the math section, algebra, problem solving and data analysis, advanced math, and geometry and trigonometry. So in my case, if I'm looking at my results here, whether it's a practice test or if you're looking at your actual results from a previous PSAT or SAT, the concept is still the same. I'm going to look at any areas where I'm not at full bars. In this case, it's only for reading and writing expression of ideas. Now, it doesn't get into the specifics of whether I really struggled more with transitions or rhetorical synthesis, so I'm just going to practice everything with expression of ideas. In other words, both of these 2 themes. And to do that, I'm going to go up here to choose your assessment. I'm going to click on the drop down and select SAT. And then, like I said, I'm going to go to reading and writing expression of ideas. We click continue, and then let's scroll down here. So notice just from expression of ideas, they have 269 questions that I can practice. That's a lot. Now here's how I would go ahead and make it fewer and more focused. So if my level of difficulty is currently at hard, then I'm going to go ahead and choose hard questions because I want to continue to improve on those. If, however, I'm at, let's say, level medium right now or level easy, I would start at that particular level for this domain. I would click on easy, choose save, and notice that took it down to 85 questions. I want to master easy level before I move on to medium, and then master medium before I move on to hard. And the other thing I'm going to do, I could click on skill, but if I don't know which of these 2 themes I'm really struggling with in particular, I really want to practice both. So I won't check them off. That way it's still both rhetorical synthesis and transitions. And I would recommend choosing exclude active questions. So that takes it from 85 questions down to 25. And the reason I would do that is because I don't want to see questions that I've already seen in practice tests, or I don't want to see questions that I will see in future practice tests because I want to make those practice tests as realistic as possible with me never having seen them before. So now I have these 25 questions, and I could click on any of the IDs if I just want to get a preview of the question, including the answer. But something that's a little annoying in my opinion is you can't just do select all. You have to go one by one and check on each and every box. So you do the same thing. I'm going to go to the next page, and I'm gonna continue to check them off. And we're gonna go through that process for all 25 questions. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and press export. Now, when you do that, I'd recommend choosing with correct answers and explanations, click export PDF. And this is a good thing to know when you're going to save something, even though it goes to print. Instead of choosing one of your printers, you just choose save as PDF, click save. I would save it to my desktop and I would just call it, let's say, reading and writing, expression of ideas. I already have it saved. I was testing it out, but you would just save it. I'm gonna press Control M, which is a nice shortcut for minimizing everything and going to my desktop. I'm gonna go to that PDF. And what's really nice is it made it 25 pages, one for each question. You can see the information up here, and then you could attempt the question. I'd recommend only have it in view up to and including answer option D, because right below it is the answer and the answer explanation. And because it is a digital test, I would recommend just keeping it on your screen and attempting it on your paper and pencil, just like you would on the real test. And then, as always, your goal is, once you've gotten it, if it's wrong, you want to see why it is what they say it is and why it's not what you put. If you got it right, then you encourage yourself with a "that's like me" and move on to the next question. And you could do the same thing with any other domains that you want. You could do the same thing with math. You would want to go to new search and then start the process all over again, choosing SAT, whatever section you want, and then including that particular domain. And remember, you got this.
All right, so the last thing I want to show you guys, and we're
In this video
perfect time
tutorial
here, is the fact that you may have heard a week from today, Look is removing practice tests 1, 2, and 3. So if you haven't taken those yet, this week/weekend is a good time to do it, because what's going to happen is they're going to introduce, to not confuse the numbering, they're going to remove 1, 2, and 3. They'll still have 4, 5, and 6. They'll add a brand new practice test 7. And then notice practice tests 8 through 10 that they're going to add are going to have new questions, but also some questions from the former practice tests 1 through 3. So that's a good thing to note as well. If you guys have any questions or want to reach out, there's our contact information. And thank you for fantastic. Have a good rest of your day. I'll leave the table in front of the council if you have any questions.